Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. And on today's episode, we're going to have with us Angela Powers. Angela is an instructional designer helping entrepreneurs become freedompreneurs. Creating freedom in your business by partnering with Angela to create and optimize your online programs. Angela has designed, developed, and delivered training to hundreds of thousands of students globally as an instructional designer for the past 12 years. Working with large companies including Google, Amazon, F5, Microsoft, and Boeing, as well as individual entrepreneurs, Angela knows exactly how people learn and can help you create transformational online programs that make a difference, get results, and turn your students into raving fans wanting more of your awesomeness. So I am sure our listeners want to be freedompreneurs. I love that. So without further ado, we're going to welcome Angela. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Yannick.
Okay, Angela, before we start getting into, the meat of our show today, we usually like to allow our guests an opportunity to share with our audience and our listeners a little bit about themselves, a little bit about their journey, how they got where they are today, and, just to share some of your awesomeness with us.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, as you had mentioned in the introduction, I've been in the corporate world for about 12 years. And a couple of years ago, I decided, hey, I want to be a coach. And it was something that I had in the back of my head for a long time, that maybe it would be something I do in retirement. And then somehow that seed had been planted that I wanted to become a life coach. And a couple of years ago, I thought, why wait? Why not now? So I went to coaching school and became a life coach. And in that whole process of trying to decide what I was going to focus on, I came up with hundreds of ideas of what I could do, and realized that the biggest expertise I had was right in front of me as an instructional designer, building online courses. That's what I love to do. So I've combined the coaching with the instructional design work, and it's been really fun to build a business. I consider myself a freedompreneur. At this point, it's been about a year since I started looking at building my own business, even while working my corporate jobs. And my main motivator, my big why that I have, right in front of me here at home and in my life is my family and my daughter. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and that's a big motivator for me, in that a lot of times in my corporate career, it means that I have to go into the office and have long days away from home. And as a freedompreneur, I can work from home and set my own schedule and work with the people I love to work with, working on the type of work I love, and helping people. Coaching really impacted me. I hired my first coach about 10 years ago. So that's another big why, is just kind of paying that forward. And I work with a lot of coaches and love being able to help them transform more people's lives and have a bigger impact by reaching more people through online courses. So that's a little about me.
Thank you so much for sharing. So a little bit I picked up of what you were speaking about just a while ago. You said that you spent a lot of time working in the corporate world, and migrating to your own business has afforded you the opportunity to spend more time with your family and your daughter, which is awesome. I completely understand that, because, I'm the mom of a 10-year-old as well. I think that, I don't know if that's how I defined it 8 years ago when I started this business. But I guess if I was to think about it now, I guess, my why would have been her at that point in time. Because for a lot of that time, I was a single mom, and it's very hard, doing everything on your own. So leading into my next question is, how do you find customer experience impacting your business with your coaches now? Do you find that the things that you've picked up from your corporate world has been able to help you in the small business world working with coaches?
I think so. Some of the things I can think of that do come across, or there are parallels there, would be communication and tracking one of the things we do on big projects in the corporate world is create a project plan and have everything really well documented. And part of that project plan a lot of times is a decision log. And this has been really important working with coaches and entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, in that we have so much going on. We're wearing so many hats. We have we're usually wearing all the hats, or we might have a small team, but it's hard to remember what decision did we make. And it's easy to forget or make a change and not realize maybe how that might impact things 6 months from now. And so that decision log can really be helpful in looking back and just staying on the same page. And I think that's a big part of customer experience is communication and being on the same page.
As a customer yourself, because even though you are providing a service to these entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, as a customer yourself that does business with other companies, how do you feel about customer service on a global level? Do you think it's something that needs improvement, or are you okay with it overall?
I think on a global level, it's something that needs improvement. To me, it's make or break for a company. As the customer, my expectations and my standards as a customer just keep going up and up. And what I've found is that when a company can really take ownership or empower their customer service department, if it's a bigger company, to have ownership of that and ability to resolve something for me, and really that communication piece again, documenting. And I have a really good example of that. It really does make such a huge difference. And one of the things as a customer I've also noticed is that in general, we have a lot of responsibility. And I think the responsibility on the customers these days is going up. And what was sold to us sort of as a greater freedom and flexibility and convenience is sort of turning into a burden for the customers, because there's different systems for each account. As a customer, you have online websites, you have more to navigate, you have more errors that can happen. And as a customer, we have very little power to put the responsibility back onto the company. So we kind of pay a high price as customers for that freedom and flexibility and convenience of having, your banking online, for example. And it's harder sometimes, I think, to get help. We take on most of the risk if there's an error, with fines and consequences. And we can't reciprocate with that if the error is the company's fault. We can't impart a fine on them most of the time. So it's a win for the companies, but it doesn't seem to be much of a win for us. I feel like as customers, we just have more and more burden to take on all those details and learn, how do I work with this company? And it's different for every company.
Very true. Very true. So some valid points there. I think one of the takeaways that I, took from you a while ago, and I think it would dovetail nicely into your years of experience as an instructional designer, you were making mention to the fact that, there are a lot of more things for customers to navigate through online, so yes, the power is now more in our hands because, we're at the tip of our fingers. We have access to all this information, but with the information comes a lot of responsibility. In terms of building online courses and, having that student lecturer or teacher experience, do you find that the students feel more customer engaged? Are they getting more of the lecturer or the tutor, or really getting a quality experience when it's delivered online versus if it's in a face-to-face kind of experience?
I'm not sure. That's a really good question. I think that the smaller the company is and the more unknown the company is, the more we hesitate to do business. If, it just depends on how risky the transaction is. So if the online course is, let's say, a Udemy special that's only $9 today, it might be a low risk and we're willing to take that risk. And it may be a great experience. And then our trust goes up and we go from there. Mm-hmm. However, it's hard to know. And so as the investment goes up, I think the expectations, of course, will go up to, what that experience is like. And so folks who are really familiar with the online courses world, taking courses online might be really comfortable navigating all of those systems. I think the easier we can make it, and it is getting easier with all the great platforms out there.
That's true.
Like something like Udemy, if you're a Udemy student, you can trust that you're going to have at least a minimum standard of an experience with them. Mm-hmm. And so you just know that, okay, if I take this course, I'm going to at least have some video and nice layout, and I know what buttons to click, and I don't have to learn any more about how to use the platform and things like that. So it could be a great experience, especially if the instructor is really responsive to your questions and you're trying to fit it in 10, 15-minute increments and things like that. So you might take, one video and one assignment and then come back to it again and again. So I think in that sense, it can be really great because you can take it on your own time and fit it in where it fits in. And with the in-person experiences, you have to be able to block, quite a bit more time.
Right.
And you may not have access in your area to some of that information in that training. So you have to travel and the expenses go up again. And you're still, depending on who is providing that training, as your costs go up, they have that burden as the company to make it a great experience, but also be able to communicate that so people can trust, okay, if I invest all the travel and all the time, I'm going to have a good experience. And of course, I think there's still something you can't get online in those in-person experiences. They're just wonderful. You can network, you meet people in person. There's so much energy. So they're fabulous, and you can't really beat face-to-face. Mm-hmm. It's just not as convenient and cost-effective most of the time. And that's why I think we are seeing this trend, because we're becoming more global. We realize, I need this information, but I'm not going to be able to find a class like that in person here in my town. So I could take it online. And then, of course, with things like YouTube, I think a lot of people use it as a learning platform as well, even though I don't think that was the original intent. You can learn anything on YouTube and things like that. So I think we're just getting more open to it.
True. In terms of your instructional design, so could you explain to our listeners a little bit about your expertise as an instructional designer, and what are some customer experience strategies that you may take into consideration when you're designing an online program?
Sure. So I started out in banking, mm-hmm. and when I got my first position as an instructional designer, and actually for many years my role was half the time I would be sitting down and doing the design and the structuring of the course, the writing and all of that, and the other half the time I'd be in front of the classroom. So it was great in that I could really link the two, what works when you put something together, because I could go and test it in the classroom. And so that's how I got my start. It was in the classroom. And then online, this was about a little over 12 years ago, online started becoming more and more popular. I started getting projects where I was creating e-learning and putting those things together. So a lot of my expertise has been built from on-the-job training. I didn't go to school and get an instructional design degree. I don't even know if they existed. It's become more popular now, so you can go and get a degree and certifications and things like that. Most of my experience was on the job. And then about 4 years ago, I went through a certification program through the Association for Talent Development, which is our big professional society. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I became CPLP certified, which is Certified Professional in Learning and Performance. And that was quite a rigorous certification, probably 150 hours of work that went into that, and quite a big write-up, not only just a written test, but also a project that I did on the job that I owned end to end, that you have to then document and submit to prove, hey, I can do all of these things on the job. Mm-hmm. That certification is a big factor in my qualifications. On top of that, just that day-to-day experience with building courses.
Right. So when you're building the online courses, clearly you have to think of the end user in mind, right? So what are some customer experience strategies that you think of, like when you put yourself in the student's shoes, the person who's going to be actually experiencing this program? What are some of those things that you take into account when you're building the program out?
That's great. My favorite of all my experiences for this particular task is doing usability testing. So you can't get any better than having a real user actually use your prototype and give you that real-time feedback where you're actually standing over their shoulder watching them try to use it, try to answer your questions, and reach the goals that you're giving them and that you're hoping that they're able to achieve in the online class. So that's been my favorite form of just, putting something together quickly with the information that you have, and then actually having real users come in and test it for you so that you can actually watch, where are those confusion points and what is it that, it's really surprising how we all think and interact with the computer screen so differently that a lot of times, you just are so surprised. It happens almost every time, how surprised you are with how somebody's interpreting what you've put on the screen for them. So you have a big button somewhere. You ask them a question about finding specific information that's, if you just click that button, you'll get it. And yet they don't see the button or they don't connect that goal with the button. Little things like that where it's just so surprising how we all think so differently. And so getting that feedback is just so critical and getting it early so that it's something that you can incorporate from the very beginning.
Currently, with all of the experience that you've gathered from your corporate life, and now you're working with entrepreneurs, is it that you have your own platform that you help them to build their online courses on, or do you use originating platforms that are originated already, like Udemy and Thinkific and Teachable, and help them to develop on those platforms?
Yeah, the latter. So I feel I'm platform agnostic and am open to really finding out what somebody wants to achieve through that training, and then coming up with a solution based on that, based on those goals, how much time they have, their budget, their learning curve, if this is their first course or if they've done it before and they're more comfortable with it, if they have a team or if they're doing everything on their own. So there's so many factors that can go into which platform do we use and how do we actually deliver this training. I've seen training successfully delivered that is only delivered via text and email. So it's very simple and only requires, mail delivery like MailChimp, whatever their mail software is, email software, or as complex as videos, downloadable videos and handouts and, forums and quizzes and all the bells and whistles that requires a platform. And then it also depends on how much control they would like over their brand and over their content. So a lot of times people may want to start out, this is their first class, they want to give it away for free. And so I used to suggest Udemy for that, although Udemy kind of put some policies in place where you can't, if you're giving a course away for free, that's great. However, you can't collect their email addresses through the Udemy platform. So you need to come up with different solutions for that. So it really just depends on the goals. And then we kind of narrow it down from there to what the options are for their platform. I think that Teachable is one of the greatest ones. I think Thinkific looks fantastic too. I haven't personally used Thinkific, but I'm taking a course through Thinkific right now. And I loved that it gave me a little reminder that I need to go back and take a look at the next module. So that was really neat, something that Teachable doesn't do. Yeah. And then some folks really want a lot of control. They want to completely control the look and feel. And so they feel a little bit more tech savvy. They may do something through WordPress or, Optimize Press and own everything on their own website and protect it that way. It does take a little bit more tech savvy work to do that because it's not in a nice platform like Teachable or Udemy where you can just plug the content in and run with it.
So a lot of what I'm picking up from you is you definitely have to sit down with the entrepreneurs or the persons that are planning to deliver the programs to identify who their audience is, what's the best way to get it out to them, what needs are they truly trying to satisfy, and I guess what the best method would be to get it out to them, as you were saying, if it's the email version or the full version of having video and quiz and auditory and all the other stuff that goes with it. And I guess in doing all of that, you're able to satisfy your customer's need, which would be your entrepreneur, and then they're able to satisfy their customer's needs, which would be the students that are taking their programs, right?
Right.
I love it. Okay, so Angela, could you tell us how you stay motivated every day?
Couple of things keep me motivated. I look at my goals and I go by the 12-week year. So I set goals for every 12 weeks. That keeps me really focused and really motivated. I have my why sort of right up in front of why am I doing what I'm doing. So that's a huge motivator for me. Another piece is accountability. So I've been exploring different ways as a solopreneur myself, it's hard to find that motivation internally. I'm not perfect at it at all. So I find motivation through accountability and partnerships with others. And no partnership is really created equal. They're all different and they all have their strengths and weaknesses and benefits. And so it's about seeing, what a particular goal might need. And if there's a partnership I can build into that particular goal. So for example, recently I've started blogging, and if it's just me by myself blogging, I'll come up with 100 excuses for something else to do. But if I have a blogging partner that I have an appointment with and we're going to work together to get each of our blogs out the door, I've created a little process for collaborative blogging to work with others so that we can bounce ideas and we kind of go through a little set process. And in an hour, we can both have a draft of our next blog posts that we want to post to our each respective blogs. So that really helps me stay motivated because I'm such a people person. I need to involve people as much as I can. And then just really taking care of myself and meditating every morning, making sure that I have some time blocked on the calendar for me is another motivating factor. If I don't get that, I kind of start to fizzle out a little bit and I'm like, what's wrong? I need some me time.
What is the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you could not absolutely live without in your business?
There are so many, I feel that I couldn't live without.
Let's pick 3 then, since you've got so many, let's share with our audience your top 3.
Okay, great. Well, the first one is the Google Suite. So I don't think I could live without that. My Google Calendar, I share that calendar with my husband so we can make sure we're not double booking ourselves. And he can see my schedule and it's great. And then the whole Google Suite, just all the documents and being able to share documents, collaborate in those documents, etc., share files, things like that is amazing. And then I would say the other one is Wunderlist. I use Wunderlist. And I am a list person. I have lists of lists. So I love Wunderlist, and you can also share those. So it's really great for project plans and sharing lists and just having a place for all my ideas and tasks and the things either associated with a project or just, I might write these, 50 books someday. I have ideas for all these different things I could do. Mm-hmm. They'll be in my Wunderlist. So I think those are my big 2. I'll just stick with 2.
So your Google Suite and your Wunderlist. Is Wunderlist an app or is it a website?
It's both. It's all across all the platforms. So it's an app on the phone, or you can log into the website and use it on the computer.
Okay, great. All right. So that is awesome. So I hope all of our listeners out there are taking note of these wonderful recommendations that Angela is giving us. Now, Angela, to pick your brain a little bit further, seeing that you are a certified learner, what are some books that have had the biggest impact on you?
Yeah, again, I have quite a list of books as well. I can give you 3. The first one is really learning focused. It's called Make It Stick. It's about how people learn, and it's full of great research and facts around how people learn and just why we need certain elements in our training and in our classrooms, either online training or in-person workshops, training classes, anything that you're building around that you want people to either remember or change their behavior or take action and stay motivated. So that book is really fantastic for that.
Right.
Another one that personally had a big impact on me is a book called Immunity to Change. Immunity to Change, yep. Okay. And this was written by a couple of Harvard professors who've been doing research for the last 30 years on why we do what we do. Why is it so hard to, specifically with those kinds of goals that they're really important, but we just can't seem to make a change. And one of the great examples they give is the heart patient who knows they need to take their heart medication every day, or they risk having another, medical emergency in the future, but they just don't take their heart medication every day. Like, why is there that internal tension and struggle that makes that behavior so hard to do. And I think most of us can relate to, whatever might be our New Year's resolutions, losing the last 10 pounds, getting in shape for once and for all, things that we keep telling ourselves, we want to do this. We really do. But we just don't. And it really breaks all of that down, and it actually helps you map out your whole sort of ecosystem of what's going on is below the surface, the subconscious level, so that you can actually start to expand your ability to actually make those changes that have been in the past so hard to do for whatever reason, figuring out what those reasons are. So that's a amazing, amazing book. I think they also have classes you can take, and you can actually get certified in their coaching method as well, which is sort of on my wish list for someday.
Mm-hmm. That's the immunity to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And then lastly is anything by Brené Brown.
Oh, I love Brené.
Huge impact on me.
Wow.
Yeah. She just, especially recently I listened to a podcast interview she had with Elizabeth Gilbert.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about her books and just a whole bunch of different topics, but she had mentioned how she really hated writing her books, and she's written several books at this point. And so the last book she wrote, she did it differently. So what she would normally do is go away, hide somewhere, and force herself to just write alone and get it done, which is, quite a big belief that if you're going to write something, you need to write alone. And she managed to kind of break that myth. And she actually took her team with her, and her team helped her write her last book. She would present her ideas to the team. They would ask her questions. They would document for her what she was saying. And they basically was able to write her entire book in this sort of collaborative team style where she wasn't alone. She was working with people, and she said it was like this fabulous creative process for her. And I was so inspired by that. That's kind of where I came up with the blogging, the collaborative blogging, because I wanted to blog and I just couldn't seem to write by myself. It was so boring. I would I can't do it. I'd write a sentence and go check Facebook or go do the dishes or something. Yeah. And then once I started involving other people in that process, it was like, boom, all these ideas and blog posts after blog posts getting drafted. It was really fabulous. So she's had a huge impact on me, not only for her research and her inspiration on, really being authentic and being yourself and being wholehearted, but also just for some of her practical stuff like the book writing process.
Just to share maybe some books that Brené Brown has written with our listeners. She wrote one called The Gifts of Imperfection, Let Go of Who You Think You're Supposed to Be and Embrace Who You Are, and Daring Greatly, How the Courage to Be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead.
Yes. And her latest is Rising Strong. That's the one she wrote with her team.
Okay, awesome. So that's her latest, Rising Strong. So I would encourage, just as Angela shared with you a while ago, that all of Brené's books are amazing. I actually had the greatest opportunity to interact with her through her online course with Oprah about 2 or 3 years ago, and it was amazing. And I did it with my girlfriend, funny enough. It's interesting that you said you like to collaborate, because I think I enjoyed the course so much more because it was both of us doing it together. So we'd decide to meet up different nights of the week with our scrapbooks and the activities that we got, and we'd do them together. And then we'd watch the videos with Oprah and with Brené and have discussions and then go back. And it was just, I think it was way more fulfilling because I had a partner doing it. And as you said, there was some level of accountability because we were both doing it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it can be so inspiring and motivating and just more fun.
Yeah, it was. And funny enough, I'm from Kingston, Jamaica in the Caribbean, and scrapbooking is something that I actually found out that I really like from that workshop that we did with Oprah and Brené. And I think the only place I've been to that I think is really big on scrapbooking is in Minneapolis in the United States. And for that reason alone, I think I'd move to that state because I really, really loved it. I like the opportunity that I was able to be artistic, even though I'm not really artistic. But that's what the whole program was about, just letting go of who you think you are and just being who you want to be. And I mean, I drew things that I thought were beautiful, but maybe to an artist who spent 5 years in art school probably wouldn't think is beautiful. It was a great experience. Like, I would recommend anyone to do it.
That's amazing. Is that program still available?
I think it is. I think they release it twice per year. I think if you go either on her website or Oprah's website, you'll be able to register yourself. And I guess when the next one comes, they'll send you an email with the information.
Wonderful.
Okay, so thanks for sharing those books with us, Angela. So we're moving on. We're tying up shortly now. We'd love for you, before you depart from us, to share with us one thing that is going on in your life right now that you are really excited about, one thing that you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
Oh, one thing I'm really excited about is a new tool that I'm learning right now called Clickfunnels. And I just started, I think I'm on my second or third lesson with them, and I did a live demo and got to ask questions at that, and just really learning how to create funnels and how to actually build them using Clickfunnels and all the different things that are available through Clickfunnels. There's a lot of integration, and you can have your email program right in there with it as well, and affiliates and all these different abilities just right there in the Clickfunnels account that you get when you sign up. So I just love it, and I'm learning so much. It's really kind of amazing how easy it is to use it, but also just how much there is to learn and how many nuances there are and little details. And I think it's really exciting too, because it's in line with how I've seen people use websites and doing that usability testing, and how sometimes landing on a website can be really overwhelming. And so the great thing about a funnel is that it takes you on a path, a very specific path. And so as an instructional designer, that's what I'm usually doing and creating, is like a specific learning path to get you to a goal. If your goal is, it could be anything, like a problem that you're facing, a well-designed funnel will help you achieve that goal and do it in a way that you can make a decision and not be overwhelmed by a big website where you have, huge menus at the top and a whole bunch of choices to choose from and not quite know what's the first step. So that's really exciting for me. And web development has not ever been something that I've spent a lot of time doing. So it kind of is a tool that helps people who aren't web designers design their own websites, even though we're not technical, like in that sense, with HTML and all of that.
Right. Okay, awesome. So you're working with Clickfunnels. So any of our listeners out there, business entrepreneurs who are thinking of growing their business and would like to create that directed path, like what Angela has indicated, that Clickfunnels can allow you. It has a lot of integrations, as she said, can work with your email list, and, it definitely will help you achieve your goals. You can go ahead over to Clickfunnels and check that out. And I think the gentleman who designed it, Russell Brunson, I think he also has a book called .com Secrets.
That's great.
So as our listeners can check that out as well. It's a wonderful resource, and if you master that tool, your business will definitely grow. Okay, so Angela, can you tell our listeners where they can find you online?
Sure, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook at Learn with Angela or at learnwithangela.com.
Very cool. Are you on Twitter as well?
I am on Twitter, yes, and it's at Learn with Angela there as well.
Very cool. So any of our listeners that would like to contact Angela for her wonderful expertise as an instructional designer, or if they want to contact her to have further conversations with her following up from this wonderful interview, please visit her on Facebook. You can visit her through her website, as she said, or through Twitter, and they're all Learn with Angela.
That's right.
Okay, so before we close off today, Angela, we always like to ask our guests, what is one quote or a saying that is like their life mantra? When times are rough or challenges become, overwhelming, that one saying kind of refocuses them and gets them to get back on track.
Something I found myself saying quite a bit is surrender. I'm not sure if that's my mantra, but it could be. I also say a lot that we're born to teach. That also can really refocus me in those times when I think, oh gosh, what am I doing? Or, I've had a hard day or anything like that. It's like, we're all here to learn, and I have really identified myself as a lifelong learner and want to learn and keep learning. And yet there's something really inspiring about being born to teach as well. And I think we all are, just as much as we love learning, are here to teach others just by being ourselves.
True. Thank you, Angela, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share with our listeners all of this wonderful information. You've shared wonderful resources with us in terms of your life's experiences and the awesome things you're doing to build online courses and build strong relationships and create businesses to grow with your entrepreneurs. And we really appreciate you taking the time. Just to remind our listeners, you can head on over to Facebook and join our Facebook group. It's a private group for our listeners and our past guests, and it's called Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, our Twitter handle is NavigatingCX. That's NavigatingCX. So our podcast interviews are released once weekly, and that's every Tuesday, and it's available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SoundCloud. So feel free to hop on any of these mediums and connect with our wonderful guests and the great information that they have to share with us. And again, Angela, we would just love to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with us this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Yannick. It's been great.
Awesome. Okay, so thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Navigating the Customer Experience. We really appreciate your support of this podcast. If you want to grow your business even more or improve your leadership skills or train your team members in the art of customer service with skills such as empowerment, speed, identifying and understanding customer needs, handling your customer complaints, and also learning more about your customer lifetime value through our customer retention value calculator, please visit our website at uniquegrant.com or give us a call at 305-848-0815 or send us an email at unique@navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. We also provide our clients with extensive research data about what really happens in their business and how their customers actually feel through our mystery shopping and customer satisfaction surveys. We will visit the branches, we test through telephone calls and email correspondence, and we provide you with a full report filled with graphs and data that can be used as strategies to improve your customer experience and Net Promoter Score. We are here to help you and be your partner for change. Please head on over to Facebook and come join in on our Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community, where all our past guests and subscribers hang out and share insightful information on customer experience, personal development, business growth, customer journey mapping, technology, and so much more. Remember to tune in weekly through your podcast app if you are an Apple user, Stitcher Radio, or SoundCloud for Android users, and you can also listen directly from our website, uniquegrant.com. Please feel free to share with your friends and family.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.